Okay, can you still hear us, Taylor?
Yep. Are you want me to just start right in?
Dive on into it.
Okay. Let me see if we can share my screen here. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So does everyone have a bound copy in front of them there to look at? If I got it on the screen too, but I want to make sure you had one in person in case it was hard to see.
Yes, they do, Taylor.
Okay. So thanks for having me back. So I got through the agreed upon procedures. So I'm gonna jump through that. So if you want to flip to page 1, we'll just start on the report, and I'll talk about what this is and what this isn't. So this is a little bit different than an audit. It's not a full-fledged audit. Agreed upon procedures is when you engage on to look at a specific item or items. And in this case, we did it solely to determine any underbilling amount for the water and sewer from the time period of June 15th of 2018 through October 15th of 2020. And I'll kind of explain why that time frame is important here. Like I said, this isn't a full-fledged audit, but so all I did was look at these specific things. Basically, in a nutshell, I just came back around to come up with a number for the underbilling, and that was kind of the purpose of this report. So flipping on to page 2 there, I kind of give some background information on the city. And then I kind of talk about the billing, how you do a meter read around the 15th of each month or thereof, depending on what day of the week it falls on. And then you get the billing out towards the end of the month, and then the bill is due the 15th of the following month. So in all these dates, I'm always looking at the read date on this. So that's kind of important to understand, is that the read date on this is when the meter was read, not necessarily when the money was collected. So you look down here on October 3rd of 2017, the city passed these updated ordinances with these new rates. So you can see for water here, the different rates and the different dates that they went into effect. So what that means is after July 1, any bill that went out would have been effective at these rates. So there's within city limits, outside city limits. So for instance, the rate changed July 1, 2019. That would mean for your bill that was read on July 15th of 2019 or there around would have been the effective date of that. And then also there for sewer, we have the different rates and the different bases and the effective dates going forward. So just the background of what we put in the report here was that, in August 2020, it was discovered that these ordinances weren't properly enforced for the water billing for the customers, and then for the sewer billing just for West Liberty Foods. And so going through this, here's kind of what we did here in the schedule of agreed upon procedures on page 3. Kind of 3 things. So we looked at each month's bill calculation report from June 15th.
Taylor, you have a lovely family. We have a picture.
Oh, sorry. I moved screens. Okay. Is that better?
Yeah, we're back. Yes.
Okay. I need to update that one. We added one since then, so I need to get an updated picture. But so so we looked at each month's bill calculation report from June 15th of 2018 read date through the October 15th of 2020 read date, with the exception of the September of 18 bill. And I'll explain that in a minute. The reason for that start date was based on conversations with Lee and Sherry. It was believed that the billing issue started with the change at July 1 of 2018. So we went back 1 month before that to kind of get some kind of assurance that it wasn't in before that. So I went back 1 month and I'll go into all the testing there. And we did the same. And then for the sewer utility billing, for West Liberty Foods, we looked at that same time frame for all the sewer bills to them. And as I'm sure you guys know, the West Liberty Foods was a hand billed bill. And they only, for the most part, they have their own water. So this was a sewer only bill that we looked at. And then we kind of took those and we tested a handful each month to determine if that month the bills were not enforced according to the ordinances. And then we took some consumption reports to calculate kind of the lost revenue in the whole scope of things. So, so overall, kind of big picture here, we identified, you'll see $39,078.82 of water utility underbilling for that time period. And I'll explain kind of where that came from. And then $326,792.97 of sewer utility underbilling, for the total underbilling to come to $365,871.79 for the time period. Like I said, we looked at each month's bill calculation, with the exception of September 15th of 2018 bill calculation. That for water, that could not be located. Either we tried looking at digging up hard copies, we tried looking at reports if they were saved in the system. Sherry even tried calling Tyler to see if they could dig up the report. They couldn't. But as I'll note later, that water was not in that time frame was enforced correctly. So there was nothing that led me to believe in that 1 month that anything was billed incorrectly for that time period. And so at the end of the day, the bills for water from June 15th of 2018 through August 15th of 2018 and October 15th of 2018, so skipping the September billing, through the June 15th of 2019 read date, again, we're going off read date here, was properly recalculated according to the ordinance. However, the billings for water from the read dates of July 15th of 2019 through June 15th of 2020 did not recalculate correctly. So basically FY20 timeframe for water. As far as and then I kind of go into the different rates there and how it's calculated. So this will help make more sense. So for that time frame, okay, you have in-town water bill. So there was a total billing of $74,695 or 74,695,770 gallons of in-town water billed. And so that means, and you bill in 1,000 gallon increments. So that means there were 74,696,000 gallon increments in that time frame. And it was improperly billed at 910 versus the 956 it was supposed to. So that left you 46 cents short per 1,000 gallon increments. So for in-town billing, it was $34,360.16. Then for out-of-town billing, a total of 6,646,000 gallons, which leaves 6,646,000 gallon increments. It was billed at the 1411 instead of the 1482 it was supposed to be. So a difference of 71 cents per 1,000 gallons, which left the total out-of-town billing at $4,718.66, which brings to that total I mentioned earlier for total water, again, for this FY20 timeframe, which is July of 19 through June of 20 billing or read dates, $39,078.82. Moving on to the West Liberty Foods bill here, we looked at again June of 18 that calculated correctly, and then there was the rate change. So the West Liberty Foods was actually billed incorrectly from July of 18 read date through the July of 20 read date. And that's because this was discovered, as I mentioned, in August of 2020, which is before those August bills went out. And so basically, I took the amount of each of these bills, what it was billed at, recalculated it according to the ordinances, and we come up with a total dollar shorted from West Liberty Foods sewer of $326,792.97. Okay, which of course in the end here, the summary is $365,871.79 for that time frame. So kind of to summarize here, you'll see there's two different time frames. So I looked at everything from June 15 of 2018 read date through the October 15, 2020 read date. For water, it was incorrectly billed from July of 19 through June of 20, FY20. And then for West Liberty Foods sewer, it was incorrectly billed from July of 18 through July of 20. So FY19, FY20, and then 1 month in FY21. And that brings us to this total here. That's kind of the report in a nutshell. What questions do you guys have? I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers at you and stuff. What questions do you guys have for me?
Taylor, do you have any recommendations, steps to move forward? I believe we do, but from your end?
Yeah, so I touched on this briefly again. I didn't do anything with internal control in these procedures. I was just looking for a number, but it was brought up a little in the last audit, and we're just kind of getting into this now. But I believe, kind of looking at stuff, there's some more controls that are now in place, but we'll test that more in the audit that we're working on right now. But there's some more signing off on stuff, verifying rates. I talked to Lee today, and I believe you're in the process of changing how the West Liberty Food sewer is billed. It's now through, or at least going to be through the system and not a hand bill in Excel. Is that correct, Lee?
That's correct. We're taking it out of an Excel spreadsheet and it'll be built into the same as the rest of the billing. So that way, again, it creates another a level of checks and balance from the handle or from the calculation that comes from from Craig at wastewater treatment to the utility billing at our office.
So the date in question for when it was not billed properly is from 2019 to 2020
For
for water. And then sewer was 2018 to 2020, is that correct?
Or only West Liberty Foods. The sewer all recalculated correctly on the sewer that was billed that I looked at through the system. But the West Liberty Foods Excel sheet that was hand billed was not billed correctly from July of 18 through July of 20.
Why do we keep making these mistakes?
I didn't hear that, if that was at me.
The question is, the continued mistake, and again, it's gonna be that's gonna be a litigation. Outside of that, what we talked about is creating internal controls, but anything else I can't answer because of the litigation.
But when the ordinance went into effect, it was properly calculated for 2017.
Initially, yes. So it changed. I mean,
And then,
so if you look at page 2 of this report, when the initial ordinance changed on October 3rd of 17, based on the 1 month I went back, so, you know, to look at this 867 or the 1344 or the 522 for sewer, 590 for sewer. I went back and basically tested 1 month of that, and it recalculated correctly. And after talking with Lee, they felt her and Sherry felt comfortable that if that month retested correctly, that it was safe to move forward from there. And so then the rate changed on July 1 of 18 for sewer and for water. And those both got changed in the system, but the handbill for West Liberty Foods did not get.
Interesting.
so the 17th and 18th for just water, it looked like it calculates out correctly.
The ones I tested for water from June of 18 through June of 19 all recalculated correctly.
It just issue in
July of
19.
Yes, so July 1 of 19, it stayed at 910 and not the 956, which if you look at the top half of page 4 there, the difference for that water between the 956 and the 910, or the out of town difference between the 1482 and the 1411, that's what I use to calculate my number based off the consumption reports from the system.
It's weird.
So what kind of changes are in place to prevent a situation like this happening?
So currently, right now, what we have created is, again, an internal audit. So we have a utility billing clerk that is going to implement. So I guess I'll start way back. When council approves or updates an ordinance of utility rates, then the clerk hands that over to the utility billing clerk. The utility billing clerk updates our billing system. Then from there, our internal, which is Sherry, she reviews that, and then she will make sure that the rates are in the Encode system to calculate. And then they will have a period of testing bills to make sure that everything has calculated correctly after the first billing. And then on top of that, we have the audit. We have the annual audit, and those bills, in the most cases, are pulled and tested as well. The other part of it was taking the handbill and putting it into the Encode system, because again, on an Excel spreadsheet, it just is more professional, and it's going to have archive capability and a record on our system through our other utility billing. So we have it all, again, it's all consistent with all of the billing. It's not bits and pieces, it's a consistent billing process. And Taylor, I mean, and again, so we don't have enough staffing to add any other additional steps to that. But again, as you stated during our audit, we'll review those again and discuss those steps for internal control.
So in a few words, who's taking blame for this?
Can't answer that right now. It's a litigation question.
This is the city government. Will you share that?
Not in an open session now. Based on the advice of the attorney. we can't.
Is there any further questions for Taylor? Thank you, Taylor.
Thanks, guys.